Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me today because we have some very exciting General Hospital news to talk about, and it's definitely worth the wait. Oh honey, let me pull up a chair and tell you all about what's been happening on General Hospital lately, because I swear my heart has been racing like it used to when I was a young girl waiting for the mailman to bring news from my sweetheart overseas. I've been watching this show for more years than I care to count. And those folks in Port Charles feel just like my own extended family. Sometimes I love them. Sometimes they make me want to shake my head and say, Lord have mercy, what are you thinking? But that's what keeps me coming back every single day, bless their hearts. The latest spoilers have me all twisted up about Willow Tate. Goodness gracious, that poor girl used to tug at my heartstrings so much. She seemed like she was just trying to be a good mama, fighting for her babies after everything life threw at her. But lately, oh, I don't know if I can keep rooting for her the same way. I sat there with my cup of sweet tea the other afternoon, watching her stir up more trouble, and I actually talked back to the television like she could hear me. Willow, honey, what on earth has gotten into you? Because let's be real, shooting her own husband, keeping him drugged up in a coma for months, and then trying to frame innocent people just so she could win custody, that's not the kind of thing a loving mother does, is it? No, ma'am. It broke my heart to see how far she's fallen. I kept thinking about my own children and how I would have moved heaven and earth to keep them safe, but never like that. Never by hurting the very people I was supposed to love. And the fans? Well, they've been talking up a storm, just like I knew they would. Some of them are so fed up they've written that after Tuesday's episode, there's simply no coming back for Willow. They say she's crossed too many lines and turned into the kind of villain you just love to hate. I understand that feeling completely. There are mornings when I watch her and think, that girl needs a good old-fashioned talking to from her grandma. But then I remember how these long-running stories work. They've taken characters who did even worse things and slowly, gently brought them back into the light. It's one of the things I love most about General Hospital. It reminds me that nobody is ever truly beyond redemption if they really want to change. Life's like that too, isn't it? We all make mistakes, big and small, and sometimes it takes hitting rock bottom before we can climb back up. That scene at Crimson the other day had me leaning so far forward I nearly spilled my tea. Willow marched in there full of fire and fury, demanding that Michael keep Jacinda Bracken far away from the children. She started dragging up Jacinda's past like it was yesterday's gossip at the beauty parlor. Michael, bless his patient soul, finally had enough. He stood up for Jacinda and laid out every single one of Willow's lies right there in the open. You could see the hurt and the anger flashing across both their faces, and my old heart just ached for them. Willow wasn't backing down one bit. She looked Michael square in the eye and told him he'd be sorry if he didn't listen. Then she stormed out, leaving him standing there looking so torn and regretful. He knew he'd lost his temper, and he was already worrying himself sick about what might happen next in family court. With Congresswoman Kane being treated like some kind of hero these days, while Michael is still under a cloud of suspicion for that shooting, he's scared to death. He might lose precious time with those little ones. I sat there whispering, oh, Michael, hang in there, sugar. Those babies need their daddy. But here's where the story took a clever little turn that made me smile despite everything. Jacinda stepped right in with that quiet, knowing look of hers and offered to help. She mentioned this deal that Brennan had floated her way, something about digging up information that could finally give Michael the upper hand against Willow. It involves finding out what's really going on with Valentine and little Charlotte Cassadine, and if Jacinda can make that happen, it might just shift the whole custody battle in Michael's favor. I couldn't help but think how smart that was. Sometimes the best way to fight isn't with anger or threats, but with the truth and a little bit of patience. It reminded me of the old saying my mama used to tell me, honey, you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. Maybe that's the lesson Willow needs to learn before it's too late. Now I keep wondering, does Willow really have a chance to make things right? Part of me, the hopeful, soft-hearted part that's watched this show through thick and thin, wants to believe she does. Maybe if she finally stops and looks at herself in the mirror, sees the pain she's causing her own children, and decides to put their happiness first instead of her anger and control, there could be a path back. But it won't be quick and it won't be easy. She's got a long, rocky road ahead if she wants the fans and, more importantly, Michael to ever trust her again. Right now, she feels more like the villain of the piece than the heroine, and that makes me a little sad because I remember the girl she used to be. Still, I'll keep tuning in every afternoon, just like I always do. These Port Charles stories have a way of surprising us when we least expect it. They make me laugh, they make me cry, and sometimes they make me so mad I talk to the screen like an old fool. But that's what family does, right? We stick around through the good times and the messy ones because we care. So tell me, dear heart, what do you think? Do you believe Willow can still turn her life around and become the mother those children deserve, or has she gone too far this time? I'd love nothing more than to sit here with another cup of tea and hear your thoughts while we wait to see what happens next. These characters sure know how to keep an old lady's heart young and full of hope. Bless every single one of them. Oh, honey, grab your favorite blanket and settle in with me because my heart's been doing flips all week thinking about what's coming next for Willow on General Hospital. I swear these writers know exactly how to keep an old lady like me glued to the screen every single afternoon. I poured myself a fresh cup of sweet tea, turned on the TV, and couldn't stop shaking my head at everything that sweet girl is going through right now. You know, I've been watching Willow's story unfold for a long time, and lately it feels like she's walking down a dark road faster than I can blink. The latest spoilers have me wondering out loud, Lord have mercy, what on earth is going to happen to that child next? After that fiery showdown at Crimson where she stormed out on Michael, I keep thinking the trouble is only just beginning. Michael looks so torn up inside, regretting he lost his temper, but deep down he knows he has to protect those babies. And now, with Jacinda quietly working on that deal, with Brennan digging up information about Valentine and little Charlotte, it feels like the ground is shifting under Willow's feet. I have a feeling things are about to get even messier in that custody battle, and my old heart is already aching for everyone involved. Some fans are saying Willow is quickly turning into one of those characters who started with so much promise, but got ruined by being pushed too hard for too long. Bless their hearts, I can see what they mean. She used to be this gentle, caring nurse with a heart full of hope, and now she's acting more like a full-blown villain, full of anger and control. It makes me sad because I remember when she first came to Port Charles, she had such potential to be one of those strong, loving mothers we all cheer for. But the way the story is dragged on with her making one bad choice after another, it does feel like the writers might be stretching her reign of terror a little too far. One fan wrote something that really stuck with me. They still believe she can be saved, but they don't want the writers wasting another whole year or even more than 3 months on all this darkness. I have to agree a little bit. These stories are best when they move along at a good pace, not too slow, not too rushed, so we can feel the real emotions instead of just getting tired of the same anger over and over. Still, I'm holding on to a little spark of hope, just like I always do with these long-running shows. I keep telling myself that nobody in Port Charles is ever completely beyond saving. Remember how many characters have done terrible things and then found their way back to the light? It's one of the things that makes General Hospital feel so much like real life. We all make mistakes, some bigger than others, and sometimes it takes hitting rock bottom before we open our eyes and choose a better path. Maybe Willow will finally look at her children and realize that her fighting and scheming is hurting them more than helping. Maybe she'll start listening instead of demanding and start healing instead of hurting. I'd love to see her get a real chance at redemption, not dragged out forever, but in a way that feels honest and earned. 3 months of real growth could be just right, don't you think? Enough time for her to face the truth, make some hard choices, and show us she still has that good heart buried somewhere deep inside. Right now, though, it looks like the storm is still brewing. With Jacinda helping Michael behind the scenes and that custody case hanging over everyone like a dark cloud, I suspect we're going to see some big confrontations coming up. Willow might double down on her anger at first. That stubborn streak of hers runs deep. But I'm praying that somewhere along the way she gets a wake-up call, maybe from someone who truly cares about her, or maybe from seeing how her actions are pushing her own babies further away. Wouldn't that be something? To watch her slowly turn back into the Willow we used to love? I'll tell you what, dear, I'm going to keep watching every single day, just like all the loyal fans out there. These Port Charles stories have a way of surprising us when we least expect it. One day they break our hearts, the next day they give us a little hope that makes everything feel worth it. So tell me, honey, what do you think's going to happen next with Willow? Do you believe she can still be saved, or has she gone too far down that villain road? I'd love nothing more than to sit here with another cup of tea and chat about it while we wait to see what the writers have in store for us. Bless Willow's heart, and all of ours, for caring so much about these characters. They sure know how to keep life interesting, don't they?